So we're here a day early for this Should You Summon. The reason why we're doing this early is because I'm almost positive I'm going to be making some type of reaction video tomorrow as soon as the new live stream comes up for JP, because apparently a new crossover is supposed to come out. I don't know what crossover it's going to be, but I'd rather have a reaction video up for that than just a Should You Summon. Either way, this banner right here is a straight dumpster fire. But it's not all doom and gloom for this banner, because at least we have Dark Rivi and Rosetta, I guess. The other two, it could use some work. One of these characters, I think, has a pretty okay future ahead of it, which is going to be Dark Rivi. Dark Rivi is able to give your team art gauge, apply a damage resist down and a magic resist down on the enemy, and also be able to give your team passive art gauge if she's actually in Magia Drive Unlimited, which is really good. The main issue with this character is that she is Type B Archgen, which is such a huge detriment to every single Archgener that comes out nowadays. Type B has so many characters in it that if you're in Type B Archgen, more than likely you're competing with another character that's just way too good. But if I had to give like my blunt reaction to Rivi's kit and everything, I would say that this is a character that will be used, but isn't always the go-to. That's the best way to put it. Now, as for her counterpart, Thetis is, I've heard a lot of people say he's just bad. The reason being, his entire game plan is kind of like a nuker role, but he's slow, so he has to get into his damage, and then once he gets into his damage, it's like, is it really worth it? So yeah, I think it's kind of weird that he's like this, because he's kind of just supposed to be this GS version of Saitama, in my opinion, but just a slower and worse version of him. And yeah, like, if you need a nuker, he can't really fill that role because he's too slow for that. And if you need like a damage dealer for like a longer fight, or for like maybe you want more of a sustained damage dealer, there's still other damage dealers in the game that are just better options than this. So I think he's a very like out of place unit. And I feel like for this guy to get like really good, like you want to see some crazy numbers with him, you kind of have to make an entire team based around him, which is fine. You know, that's what you have to do with every unit. But with this guy specifically, I feel like it's more apparent than with other characters. I'm kind of 50-50 on Thetis. If I got him, I would try him out, see if I can make him work in certain situations, but I feel like I would just wind up turning to older damage dealers that I've been using for so long, because I wouldn't want to deal with this Magia Drive Unlimited mechanic. Now, as for the other two units, Rosetta and Leon. Well, we all know about Leon. She needs some massive buffs. Maybe with Dream Evolutions and JP, whenever they get to her, they may do her justice. But until then, she is terrible. As for Rosetta though, Rosetta isn't that bad of a unit. Really, the only problem with Rosetta is that it's the same problem that Rivi has, where it's a Type B Archgener. But if you actually did summon on this banner and you wound up getting Rosetta, not too bad if you're liking other Archgeners. If you have others, then big tough. Now, coming to the Should You Summon part of this banner. Should you do it or should you not? I mean, let's be honest here. We all know the answer, right? We all know. If you wanted any of these units, more than likely they're going to be back on later banners, like Super Awoken banners whenever we get them. These guys could be featured on it. And if that's the case, that's a way that you can get like Dark Rivi if you wanted to get Dark Rivi. Or more than likely these guys are going to be in a Forever Summon later on down the line. They are GS units, so you know they will be in there eventually. When will Global update that? Who knows, because they take forever to update the Forever Summon, but it's some food for thought. Another thing to mention too is that I just don't think this banner is great even for like newer people to the game. The only one that I would recommend to like a newer player would maybe be Rivi, just because of the Archgening department, but still, she's an Archgener that needs Archgen, so you gotta have an Archgener on the team that can kind of help her with her slack until she gets into her Magia Drive Unlimited, so she can actually Archgen for the team. So I would just say that if you are newer to the game, if you're older to the game, anybody, I just wouldn't summon on this banner, unfortunately. I would say if you're new to the game, the Fairy Tail banner might be a little bit better for you, but yeah, it kind of sucks because right now there's no banner that's just like 10 out of 10 must summon for a newer player, because we are kind of in that down period, right, where they are getting ready to release the new mechanic, the new system coming out, which is going to be Super Awakening. So not really a lot's going to be happening in the next week or 2 weeks on Global, but in that third week or in a month from now, you best believe it's going to get real crazy. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you all for coming out. It's been your boy P. Tell me down below. Well, I already know what you guys probably think about this banner, but if you're going to be summoning on it for whatever reason, please let me know the reason why, because I would love to understand the brain of a madman. But that's going to be it for this one, man. Thank you all again for coming out. It's been your boy P. And last but not least, you guys already know, don't forget to drink water.